Hello and welcome back to the show. So I'm super excited today because I'm joined here by not just a really great producing agent and a team leader, but also a really good friend of mine, Bernard Lee. Bernard is a former top producing real estate agent who used to be producing $20 million in real estate and a franchise owner and a team leader who is now with eXp Realty building a real estate agent organization of his own, helping other agents duplicate his success. In today's episode, we're going to be digging into Bernard's story and how he was able to become such a successful agent and his decision to move his business to eXp and the benefits that it has brought him. But other than that, Bernard, I want to welcome you to the show, and I am super excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Kobe. I really appreciate it. Excited to share anything I can in terms of insight with agents, my struggles. I'm very transparent. I want people to know it's not all rainbows and unicorns, and this business can be a real grind. But I'm excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really great to have you here for sure. And you have a wealth of knowledge in real estate and in sales, like we were talking a little bit about earlier before the podcast. So I would love for you to be able to share a little bit about your story and, how did you got into real estate and how were you able to become a top producing agent within your time as a real estate agent?
Okay, great, man. Great question. And I'll try to keep it short and sweet to get my background in sales. I've got 25 plus years in sales. I've been doing it my whole life. It's all I really know. I go back. My former sales career was in the custom clothing business. I made and manufactured custom clothes for men and women for many years. Still tied to the business indirectly on the manufacturing side, but it led me to other opportunities. I am originally born and raised in New Orleans, and after graduating high school and some college, I relocated to Houston in the summer of 2002, where I met my wife, my now wife, and yeah, Houston was always a place that I always knew I would come to. It was far enough away from New Orleans, but close enough if I ever needed to get back home. So, growing up in New Orleans, people's like, "Oh man, New Orleans is great. The food is great. Mardi Gras, this and that." But when you grow up there, it's just another day. So for me, Houston was a breath of fresh air, a wealth of opportunity. I came here, got a job in the car business. Shortly after that, my wife and I got an opportunity to start our own mortgage company. A buddy of mine who I met in the car business had just gotten his mortgage license. He told me it'd be a great side hustle. So I went and got my license and tried it out. And uh, a year into it, I got an opportunity to go from being an agent to an owner. There was a company called Network Funding that had just moved to town, and they were opening up offices already, and we were lucky enough to get one of the first offices here in the area. So the mortgage business, if anybody remembers, back in the 2000s, all you really needed was a pulse and a blood type to get a loan. And so the business was great. Unfortunately, a lot of people, like most things, took advantage of that and just put a lot of people in bad situations, which we did our best to stay away from. Um, Fast forward to 2008 when the market crashed. I hung in there. My wife went back to corporate America. I hung in there as long as I could till about 2009, and I basically had to fold like everybody else. From there, I dabbled back into my clothing business because it was always my go-to to always make a living. And it wasn't until one of my clients, who was also a good friend of mine, asked me to come and join his team at Land Rover Houston in the Katy area. And it's like, what the heck? I was tired of being on the road, traveling all the time anyway. And I had two small kids at the time, so I needed to be home more. So I joined the guys at Land Rover. Uh, but I'd always had that burning desire inside of me for real estate because I'd always stay connected to it, whether it was flipping houses or whatever, or just connecting people in the space. Uh, I got an opportunity to be very successful at Land Rover was always in the top 10 percentile of top salespeople every year. And I built a phenomenal client base. And I just transferred that over to real estate when I decided I was going to go and get my license. And the day I got my license, I quit my job. I didn't tell my wife or anybody. She thought I was out of my mind. And I joined Remax Southwest in the Sugarland area. And yeah, I got in there, basically got thrown to the wolves. And it was an easy transition for me because of my sales background, but I knew nothing about the business side of real estate. So I basically kind of had to find my way through the mulch and figure it out. That I learned very quickly that people in the office weren't very helpful. Nobody wanted to do leases, so they was like, "Well, give it to the new guy." And I didn't understand that, but from a sales standpoint, it made perfect sense. Like I said, okay, so I asked one of the senior guys. I said, everybody want me to do their leases. Why is that? I said, well, nobody wants to, drive people around, and they're only going to get 50% commission. I said, let me get this straight. They're going to pay me 50% of the first month's rent just for driving around and putting the key in the door. He's like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I tell you, Kobe, I did so many of those deals, man. 1 month I did maybe 10 of those deals and made about $7,500. It's like, man, this is easy. So from February to December of 2017, during the annual awards banquet, I was named Rookie of the Year for 2017. I had, I guess, amassed I want to say probably 3 million in production that year. And then the next year I ended up hitting the President's Club, earning over 6 figures. And from there, I actually wanted to buy a Remax franchise. So I started digging and doing my research as to what it would take. And ironically, the guy who ended up being my sales rep had started his own franchise alongside of Remax while he was selling Remax franchise. Obviously, there was a huge conflict of interest. So he asked me if he could talk to me in private one day and share with me, what if I gave you an opportunity to own your own franchise? And you don't have to pay the royalty fees and all the other stuff that comes with Remax. I said, what's the catch? He said, the catch is I need you to be the face of it. I need you to become the face of it. I was like, okay, sounds pretty enough. So I asked him what the cost was. He said it was 10 grand, which is way lower than the 35 grand I would have to put up for Remax, not to mention all the other fees that come with it. He said, you'll be one of my first in the Houston area. And he said, you can set up as many franchises as you like. It's like, okay, cool. Sounds fair. So I ended up buying the first franchise and I left. I went set up my office space and told 10 of my people that I was leaving and they can come with me. And so we all took off and we went and do our thing. And that kind of led me to a second opportunity 2 years later that was very similar, but they had more reach. It was a national company. They were a tech company that played in the real estate space called Side, kind of like Compass. And they were looking for top producing agents in the area who had did 15 million or more. And they were basically giving us an opportunity to come in, set up our own brand, and they would be the broker of record. Sounded even better than the last opportunity. And they were heavy in the tech space, so I had a lot more tools with this company that I didn't have with the first. And one of my former agents left me to join eXp. And for 2 years, he had been telling me, like, dude, you really got to come take a look at this. I was like, I heard the eXp spill before. It sounds too much like network marketing to me. And I don't want to be a part of that. He's like, no, you really got to come and look at this. And for 2 years, he tried to get me to listen to it, and I would never listen to it. Well, finally, he got me on a call with Connor Steinberg. And everybody knows who Connor is, founder and leader of the Wolfpack. glad to be a part of now, by the way. And kind of broke it down to me like I had never heard before. And it was absolutely mind blowing. And I felt like I had reached my plateau at the outfit that I was in, and I needed to make a change. And it was right at the end of uh, 2023, December 2023. I made the decision right before Christmas and joined eXp in January and kicked the new year off with a bang. So here I am. And I told my team, I said, look, I'm leaving. I think I finally found my vehicle. This is it. Who's ever with me can come with me. Whoever isn't, it was great working with you, but we're out of here. And ironically, all the guys like, we're with you. So I bought 10 people over with me when we joined, and we set ourselves up as a standard team. They said we didn't have to change our branding or anything, and we come in and go to work. So here we are.
That's awesome, man. So you've been through many different phases as far as what a real estate agent goes through, right? You own franchises, you had a team, you were a producing agent yourself, and now you've landed here with eXp. So I want to kind of go back a little bit on, you as a producing agent yourself. So what would you attribute your success as far as being able to generate enough leads and convert them into clients? I know you obviously have a very extensive background in not just sales, but also owning your own business in the mortgage space. So do you think a lot of, your experience from sales in other industries were able to help you? And what were those lessons that you learned to essentially help you become, rookie of the year and also a top producing agent as you progressed in your business as a real estate agent?
I, that's a great question, Kobe. And I think you're absolutely right. I think now that I look back at it, my sales experience in all those different industries helped me to become a person that was awesome in negotiation, wasn't afraid to overcome objections. I mean, I sold $100,000 cars for a living, and those people are not the easiest people to deal with. Trust me. So so having that confidence to be able, and that's what I try to share with my team, and I tell people all the time. I said, don't ever chase the commission. I know we all go through things, and we're hungry for that next deal to close, but don't ever chase the commission. It's always going to run from you. Do right by the client, and the money will follow. And that's been a personal model that I try to mimic and live by my entire life, because I was that guy who once before, even in the car business, where I live by that next deal. I'm trying to beat this other guy out for salesman of the month. So I'm doing whatever I have to do to get these deals closed. But when I got into the real estate space, those deals to me became more personal than selling somebody a car. You have somebody's life in your hands, and they're trusting you to guide them in the right direction for their home, the place they're going to raise their kids and their family and their loved ones, and they're going to make a lot of memories. So it became more personal to me than just a commission. So I try to treat people as I would want to be treated, being a salesperson. Like now, I'll go into a store, and I always tell people, like, look, dude, like I'm a salesperson. This could be the easiest deal of your life or the hardest one. Pick a side. If I go and buy a car, my daughter totaled her car. She was in a hit and run accident a couple months ago, and we had to go buy her a new car. And and I told the guy, I was like, look, dude, like we're really easy. We know what we want. Here's what we're gonna pay. I did this for 10 years, so make it easy on yourself. We don't have to do the back and forth thing. Let's just make it easy. So, and I try to treat people the way I would want to be treated. And I tell that to my agents all the time, like, this business has to become personal to you. It can't just be about the check. And I know we see some really large checks. You know, I'll never forget, while traveling 2022 in the summer, I made $54,000 in the month of June, and I wasn't even home. I was on the road with my daughter playing softball. But that's how much money we can make in this business. We make more money in a month sometimes than most people make in a year. And we can get blinded by that. and that can really cause us not to take care of people and just like, well, I got things I need to take care of, so I need this deal to close. Well, now you're kind of moving away from what this business is really about. So I try to stay grounded where that's concerned, and not be blinded, by the commissions at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have, right? As an agent, especially as you move into higher production numbers,
Hmm.
because the more, the more you're producing, I'm sure you can talk to this as well, the more it seems like a business, right? In the beginning, as your individual agent, you're representing clients, you're reaching out to your friends and family, your sphere of influence, like everybody's teaching, right? That, in itself is very personal activity, very personal transaction. But as you start scaling up your business, like you have, right? Then it becomes more of a business, more systems that are involved, more expenses that you have to pay, right? Like
Yeah.
you owning an office. So how are you able to do that while also keeping that personal touch with clients that maybe leads you're generating that you didn't even know before? This is a complete stranger that just became a lead through one of your lead generation methods.
It's definitely a balance in that, Kobe, and I'm sure you know this being a business owner yourself. It's a balancing act. When you're realizing that whether you close a deal or not, you still have this $10,000 of overhead that needs to be paid, or you got to keep it. Dude, I tried every lead gen imaginable. I mean, there was a point I was spending $2,500, $3,000 a month between Zillow and Market Leader, and just trying to find that right balance to make sure that my agents or constantly getting fed to keep them happy and afloat. They have families to take care of as well. So I had to tell myself, a lot of people are dependent on you. But I had to get to a point, especially when the market shifted, right before we made the decision to come to eXp, to help my agents understand that you're in this, you have to be in this for the right reasons. This is your own business, regardless of what the sign on the door says. You're going to get out of this business what you put into it. So if you're not willing to work and put in the work and to brand yourself and to put yourself out there as the expert or the leader in your field, you're probably not going to last long. And there have been times I wanted to give up. I was like, I can easily go back to the car business or go back to my clothing business, but I'm like, I love what I do. I call myself the alternative agent because I do things differently from other people. Like, I will not stop until I've exhausted every opportunity to get a deal closed. Any of my clients will vouch for that. Bernard goes above and beyond. Literally, I've helped people pay their closing costs. My wife hates that I does that, but I've done anything I had to do to get a deal done. Because to me, if I go above and beyond for that client who's struggling, whether it's to come up with closing costs or whatever, if I help get them to the finish line and get those keys in their hand, they're going to go share that with other people. And that was always my biggest source of business. Thankfully, was referrals. I never did a lot of marketing. As I shared with you in our pre-interview, I never embraced social media. I've been licensed since 2017. I literally just embraced social media joining the eXp. Before that, dude, I hated social media, everything about it. It's like I was almost like a secret agent, like other than the people who knew me, because I refused to buy into the whole, oh, you got to have a YouTube channel, you got to be active on, all social channels. Like, it's too much. So, but now, between Connors and you and Terrell really embraced it. Mike Sherrod and Sue Min, seeing what you guys have been able to do and accomplish by embracing where we are now, I realized that as much as I hate social media, unfortunately, it's the world that we live in. And you're either going to have to roll or you're going to get rolled over. So I could be the dinosaur dude, or I could be the dude who reinvents himself. It's like, okay, let's go. Dude, I'll put myself up against anybody when it comes to sales and negotiation. Anybody on the planet. But I had to realize that this isn't 2005 anymore or 2015. You have to embrace what's happening now. and things are changing in the world fast, man. It's AI stuff, and so yeah, I'm learning to adapt and I'm not the most technical person, but I'm learning how to do a lot of stuff now that I didn't used to like to do. So I'm enjoying the ride. I'm anxious to see where this is going. And for me, everything was always a destination for me. I've always had a finish line. But now with eXp, I'm learning to embrace the journey. Like there's no finish line. You're just gonna ride this thing until you just don't want to drive anymore. And that's so I'm looking down the road as to where I could be 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and building an organization globally. There's no borders anymore. With my last two previous brokerages, although I was an owner, I was limited to Texas. I could not go outside of Texas, not without getting licensed. So I couldn't have agents in other cities and states, and I know people all over. With eXp, I'm talking to an agent in Mexico right now. I'm talking to friends and family in New Orleans, Atlanta, Miami, and the Carolinas. So, and my daughter's getting ready to go to college in Rhode Island. I've already met a Wolfpack agent in Rhode Island. So, dude, it's something I should have done a long time ago, but I believe timing is everything. And I feel strongly that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about joining you guys and going to the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, it's funny that it's great that you're embracing social media now and being on this podcast is a part of that. And you actually, for our listeners and viewers out there that like more Bernard's content, Bernard's starting his own podcast as well. So make sure to check that
The
out when
alternative agents.
yeah, exactly. So make sure to check that out when he has that out as well. But it's funny because you were able to be successful in real estate without embracing it, right? So that kind of shows that people can take different paths and still be successful in business and real estate. So and you're actually able to take a lot of that and actually apply it to your content as well with the way that you're communicating and the way that you're showing up for other people and the way that you're showing up on video and in your content as well, helping people to become better agents, helping people to produce more, right, and different things like that. So I think that's very interesting point that you brought up. Now, something that I really want to talk with you about, and this is something that I have asked a lot of our guests who were producing agents, right, as an individual, and then became a successful team leader, which very similarly, like yourself, is that transition, right? Because I've seen I've seen a lot of people who were very successful as an individual agent, right? They're top producers themselves. They're, put their head down, they produce, right? They generate leads and they do really well, but they have a hard time transitioning into a team, a brokerage, or an organization leader. So what has that transition been like for you? Because you do have a team of agents and you're looking to grow now. And what are some things that you think that you need to, or like that people need to improve on as far as transitioning from a very successful solo producer to being a successful team leader like you have?
Well, as I alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, Kobe, I am very transparent and I like to be straight up. It's the only way I know how to do business. Becoming a team lead is not easy. Everybody thinks that it's easy, like, oh, you just go out, you create a name, and agents will follow you to the land of glory. It is a tough job. Uh, you have to lead by example, and that's not always easy to do because, especially when you have a family and responsibilities and you've got any type of overhead. Uh, I was always in a mindset of if I don't work, I don't eat. So putting that trust and that codependency in your team or your agents, and they don't operate the way that you do. Like one of my biggest pet peeves was people would always say, well, you need to get a mentor, you need to get a coach, or you need to embrace that. That was another thing that I shied away from. But I understand it better now. But the reason I shied away from it was simply because, I didn't need to pay somebody $1,200 a month to get up, to tell me to get up and go make a certain amount of calls or knock on a certain amount of doors. Like my bills show up every 30 days and tell me to do that. Like, hey, dude, I'm Xfinity's here, and Centerpoint's right around the corner. Should I let them in? Like, dude, so I didn't need somebody to tell me to do that. And that's one of the things I try to share with the agents who are coming on board with us. Like, this is not an easy business. No matter what people make it look like on social media, no matter what all the gurus tell you, this is not an easy business. And you're only going to get out of it what you're willing to put into it. And so, I'm learning now to find that balance, to hitching my wagon to the right people, because everybody who you bring on board is not necessarily going to be a good fit. And I learned that the hard way. You would bring people on and they get excited during the initial consultation and meeting, and 3 months in, they check out on you. And you don't know what happened to them. Like, dude, did I miss something? Or, they slowly go more and more silent. I'm dealing with that right now with a few of my agents because everybody isn't built for this. And this is what I would tell people all the time. If you're not willing to sacrifice, if you're not willing to go the long haul, if you think you're going to get rich overnight, like one of those 30-minute HGTV shows, you need to find another career. It's not going to happen. Can you get rich? Can you become very wealthy and stable? Absolutely. But if you're not willing to put in the work and you're not willing to ride this thing out for the long haul, do yourself a favor, man. Chick-fil-A's hiring, some of these other, like, just don't do it, man. The car business is always hiring. Go sell cars. But this is not for the faint at heart. And that's what so the transition for me has not been it's been a lot of self-reflection. Am I a good leader? Do I lead by example? You got to do a lot of self-reflecting because people will make you question yourself sometimes. Well, maybe it's me. If everybody's like not succeeding and I'm the head of the snake, then maybe it's me. So you kind of start to question yourself, and then you have to have these tough conversations with people like, well, what's going on? And it's usually a lot of personal stuff, and you got to find that balance. And and it's hard to let people go when they're just not working out. Because I'm a person by nature. I always want to help everybody, and my wife hates that. Like, dude, like, I know people need you, but like, we need you too. It's like, home comes first. And so you got to find that balance. Like, it's almost like, I'm sure you play sports, and I did as well. I mean, you're part of a team, and if you're one of the better players on the team, you can't let your team down. You got to show up, whether you're hurt, whether you're sick, like, you got to show up. So it's finding that balance. And what I would share to anybody thinking about becoming a team lead, be very careful about your selection process. Everybody is not going to be a good fit. I don't care how good of friends you are. Family definitely is not a good fit. So try to avoid family at all costs. So kids included. But try to find that balance, and then know who you are going into it. Know what kind of leader you are. Are you a guy who just barks out orders, or you're somebody who's willing to get in there and get in the mud side by side and get your boots dirty alongside your team? If you're that kind of leader, if you're a servant leader, like, because a lot of times it's not about just barking orders. You got to be willing to sacrifice and serve and lead by example. So that's what I'm learning now in my older age. Learn how to be more of a servant leader, and not just, I'll go first and you follow me. Like, just kind of helping people find their niche. And I'm a real niche kind of person. I tell people now, just from experience, because I tried it all. Find that one thing you can become the expert on, and let that be your niche. Don't look at Sue Man. Don't look at me. Don't look at. Find your one thing. It's new construction, first-time home buyers, single mom, whatever. Find your lane and stay in your lane. So that's my take on the whole leadership thing.
And that's great because, you know, it's never as easy as people think, right? It's never as easy as people think as far as this is straightforward. This is because now you're not dealing with just yourself, right? If you're, you know, only responsible for yourself as far as producing as an agent, right? As a, you know, salesperson for any other business as well, then you can, you know what works for you and then you just go do it, right? You put in the work, you go, you know, you don't need somebody else to tell you to go work, you just do it. And you just,
Right.
it's hard for somebody like that to understand other people who need more motivation. So you know, I think you've done a great job of doing that, right? And doing a lot of self-reflection as a leader. And then now you're also building an organization within eXp, which is, you know, finally I think it's right, it's time to talk about eXp, right? A little bit
Yeah,
about
let's get
that
into
decision.
it.
So yeah, so walk us through it, right? So you were a franchise owner, now you're here with us, and you're more excited than ever to grow and build your team. So you know, why is that, right? A lot of franchise owners out there, a lot of top agents, a lot of team leaders, they've seen EXP, they understand the numbers, but they don't get it the way that you get it. What made the difference? What is something that you would say to them now to make them understand why you made the change to come over here?
One of the reasons that really, when Connor got through breaking down that thing to me, I mean, to the most finite position, I understood that I didn't have to give up my identity, but I no longer had to bear the burden of being the owner. EXP took that away from me. Dude, I can run my entire business for $85 a month. So, so that's $9,915. I no longer have to spend every month with my $10,000 overhead. Now I can take that money and put it into marketing. I can go to EXP every time it comes up or whatever. So for me, and the ability, Kobe, to build an organization globally, help those people succeed without babysitting. That was the biggest thing for me about being a broker owner slash team lead. It was like running an adult daycare most times. And I hated that part of the business. So with EXP and the Wolf Pack and just the culture that we have of all the tools and the resources and things that are in place, if people are willing to do those things, well, give me the resources, but you got to put them into action. It's just like having a remote control car. If you don't turn it on, it's never going to move. You know, you'll just be standing there like, Mom, it doesn't work. Like, dude, you haven't turned the car on yet. So, you know, and that's what I love about EXP. And then when I created my brand, Alumni Elite, it was with the hopes of creating this lane, like I just talked to you about, for professional and collegiate athletes. My godson just graduated from Texas A&M. He was a star wide receiver over there. He just got drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. My daughter's been playing softball her whole life. She just got a full scholarship to play Division I softball in Rhode Island. So it's like, some of these guys are now making money off their name and likeness in college. But we all know, and my godson was a perfect example of that 2 years ago, had a horrific injury that almost ended his career. But he's resilient. He bounced back from it twice. But this kid was making more money in college from his name and likeness than most people were professionally. So I said, okay, maybe we can create an opportunity here for collegiate athletes who are making money off their name to invest in real estate, because we all know you're only an injury away from your career being cut short. My son was an example of that in high school. He played basketball, and you know, one knee injury, first time ever, ended his career. He never wanted to play again, not collegiately anyway. So I was like, okay, what if we can teach these guys to invest their money while they're making this money, and in the event something does happen, you always have something to fall back on. And that's where the whole alumni elite thing came from. So Then, with the introduction of eXp opening now the first global sports and entertainment division, I'm hopeful to be first in line to grab one of those, and just continue to build on the brand. And then I can have agents all over the place. And like I said, my daughter's going to be in Rhode Island. My son's, godson's going to be in Philadelphia. I know quite a few football players and former players from when I used to do their wardrobes. So it kind of made sense to me to kind of stay in that lane because everything I've ever done is connected to them. So I can take all my wisdom, all the things that I know, I don't know. I've done some commercial before, and these guys that my godson's older brother, he played 5 years in the league. He's no longer in the league, but he made it 5 years, made quite a bit of money, and he's tried a few businesses, and he and I had the conversation. Why do you think about going to get your real estate license? So now you can help all your buddies who are either in the league or formerly in the league. And now it starts to make sense. So yeah, that EXP, man, to me has taken off the borders. The opportunities have become limitless for what you can do, and the fact that I can build an organization as far and wide as I want to without physically being hands-on every step of the way was phenomenal for me. That was the absolute nail in the coffin for me. Because that babysitting thing wasn't working for me, man. It was it was driving me crazy. So yeah, man, I'm super stoked about it. And again, meeting guys like you and Connor and Sue Min, and like, man, just watching what you guys have been able to do is I feel like I'm on the right team. I got the right vehicle finally. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you could just tell how excited you are about EXP every single
Dude,
time.
I'm
Right,
telling you,
every
dude,
single
I
time.
finally feel like I found the right vehicle. And it's been a long time coming. I've had my license for 7 years now. And uh, because of my religious background, I know that seven is the number of completion. And I just feel like I came full circle and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Lost some money last year making the transition, but being where I am now, I see where the opportunity go. Dude, a year ago, I would have never talked about doing a podcast or an interview like this or a YouTube video. Like, you couldn't kill me. People's like, oh, why don't you do, social media? You speak so well and you're so confident, this and that. Like, dude, I hate being on camera. Like, literally. Like, nah, you couldn't tell me you hate being on camera. But now I understand the power and the unlimited reach of it now. When they talk about how YouTube would just prospect for you, even when you're asleep, I'm like, dude, I need that. Because what I want is I want an endless flow of leads coming in to share with my agents, to keep them producing, to keep them happy, and to keep them excited. What do most people want in the business? They want the opportunity to keep their money. And most of these brokerages now with these crazy, insane commission splits, and it's not fair. So when I joined eXp and I came over as a team, they said, well, most team leaders charge a certain percentage of their agent's deal. I said, I don't want to do that. It's like, well, why not? I said, because from an agent standpoint, I know that most agents, we just want to keep our money. We don't want to feel like we're being double dipped or taken advantage of. So I don't charge any fees on top of the eXp split with my agents. Everybody is on the 80-20 split across the board. If I give you a referral, then we have a referral fee. But other than that, there's no additional fees joining our team. $16,000 cap, 80-20 split. Period. And everybody loves it. So it works. Yeah,
I,
man.
I- that's the best type of team, right? When there's no splits and no fees.
Oh
And
my God. It's just, because people don't like to feel like they're being taken advantage of. They'll be excited in the beginning, but eventually they're gonna get to the point where they're gonna start having these little sidebar conversations like, we could really go off and do this on our own. And now you got people leaving instead of being loyal. I want people to be loyal. I don't want them to feel like they're being taken advantage of. I want them to feel like they have our full support. And we're a team. There's no I in team. There's no I in team, and I think the sooner people grasp that, uh, the better this business will become. I think there's a lot of selfishness in the business right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. So it's like everybody's stepping on top of one another to grab that next thing, whatever it is. And I don't want that kind of culture. I don't want to be a part of that kind of culture. So yeah,
And,
that
yeah, and you're able to do that, right, at EXP through the revenue share model. Because I think a lot of team leaders are going to watch this and they're going to have questions as far as how is that possible that you're not charging your team a split? How are you making money? Right? We don't get paid by the agent split. EXP pays
absolutely,
through the revenue share model.
absolutely. And what the advice I would give to people who are team leads, who are thinking about becoming a team lead, be fair. Like if you feel like you need to charge a split, be fair and balance it out. For me, I'd much rather make my money off the referral business if I give them a deal. And I tell my agents, if I give you this transaction, there's a referral fee attached to it. But if you go out and get your own business, it's all your money. You cap, you're 100%. And to me, that's fair because between the rev share and the referral fee, you can make a pretty good living. And you can still produce yourself if you choose to. So that's my philosophy on it. Not a lot of people agree with me. My own wife didn't agree with me, but I'm like, I understand this from a salesperson's perspective. People don't want to feel like they're being taken advantage of. Nobody wants to feel like they're being double dipped because at the end of the day, those people still have families as well. They've got bills, they've got things and obligations they need to take care of. So yeah, I try to keep it simple.
Exactly. And that's a great philosophy and one that I run my business by as well, and one that I agree with for team leaders, especially if they have a model like EXP, which does compensate you without you having to charge your agents a split.
I
So
love it,
that's
man. I love it. I'm sorry I didn't get it 2 years ago when I was first introduced to me, but hey, better late than never.
right.
Yeah, I still got a few good years in me, man. I'm gonna run this thing, and I do. And the fact that EXP will allow me the opportunity to create a substantial income, where if I wanted to go and watch my daughter play all 53 of her games, no matter where it is in the country, I can do that and not lose business. I can do that and not lose income. I can travel halfway around the world and take a week off and still have money coming in, almost while I sleep. And I love that. I didn't have that with my two previous opportunities because if I didn't close a deal, I didn't get paid. If my agents didn't close deals, I didn't get paid. And this EXP model with what Glenn Sanford has done and the leadership at EXP is nothing short of phenomenal. I get it now. And that's why I get so excited talking about it. And I try to get other people to understand like this is bigger than you. And the opportunity is bigger than you. You can create, and the stock option thing was another game changer for me. Now I have a clear exit strategy. I have a clear retirement plan if I choose to utilize that.
Yeah.
So yeah, now, dude, I'm excited about it. I'm
Nah,
super excited about it.
that's awesome, man. We could tell. We could tell for sure. So you know, Bernard, I want to thank you for being on the show today. You shared a ton of value with us and a lot of excitement as well. So for our listeners and our viewers out there that want to learn more about what you're doing, that want to connect with you, that want to work with you, right? Maybe want to join your EXP organization as well. What are some of the best ways for people to follow you or to reach out directly to you so that way they can get in contact with you?
They can follow me on all socials at Bernard_W_Lee. On YouTube, which is up and coming, at Bernard W. Lee. And I can be reached directly at 281-299-4654. Would love, I'm an open book. I have no secrets. I answer any question anybody might have concerning my own story and journey. Would love to have them reach out if they have any questions. And yeah, and that I'm just excited about it. And they can follow me on socials. I'm trying to be more active on socials now. So yeah, they'll be seeing a lot of this space reluctantly, but it's coming. So so yeah, man, I'm excited. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today. Looking forward to having you as a guest on my podcast pretty soon. And yeah, man, let's go.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to leave all of the links to your socials and your phone number as well in the description, the show notes down below, so that way people can reach out to you. And you know, all socials, right? Going all the way from no social media to following you on all
Also,
socials,
go
so you're all
figure,
in.
man.
Yeah, that's
Go figure. Yeah, I'm even on TikTok. I don't even understand TikTok, but I'm on TikTok. So, so
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, let's go, man.
I love it, man. But awesome, man, Bernard. Thank you again for being on the show. Before we let you go, was there any last pieces of advice, any last tips you want to leave with the audience here before we let you sign off?
I would say simply, man, anybody who's in the business and they're struggling, but they believe in what they do, stick with it. Anybody who's thinking about getting in the business, please, 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 I implore you, hitch your wagon to the right person or right group, somebody who will have your best interest at heart. This business can be a very vicious business, but it can be a very rewarding business at the same time. You just have to be with the right group. So do your research, take your time, ask a lot of questions. If anything doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Trust your gut and yeah, make the right decision. Get with the right people. Wolfpack.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There we
So
go.
yeah, man. All right, man. But yeah, Kobe, man, I'm super proud of what you're doing, man, at such a young age. I can only imagine where you'll be at my age. You make me feel so old. So I'm like, dude, I have kids older than you, man. And so I can only imagine where you'll be at 10 years from now, man. So keep doing what you're doing. Uh, just excited to be connected to you, and I appreciate all your help with the stuff you've helped me with. So
Absolutely, man. Always happy to help as always, and I appreciate you and
yes,
appreciate
sir.
you tuning in. And we'll see you on the next show.
Yes,
Take care.
sir. All right. Bye bye.